of economy because they're the biggest trading partner. But when it comes to the human rights value, moral values and stuff like that, it shouldn't be compromised over the business issue. When it comes to the human rights value, they should be firm enough to stand in front of Chinese leaders and speak out the real issue that is in Tibet. So that's why it's business issue. The moral value shouldn't be compromised. That's what I think.
So
yeah,
go ahead. If I can just follow up too. So to follow up on that, the truth is, the people who are in the Bay Area in the United States as a country should stand by moral leadership. Because the truth is, in Tibet, just this broadcast alone, we would all be arrested in Tibet and possibly imprisoned or tortured. And there's so much imprisonment and torture and abuse going on in Tibet against Tibetans by the occupying Chinese forces that there's absolutely no room for free expression whatsoever. So the truth is, there's nothing that a Tibetan in Tibet can do these days to get heard or get the attention of the world, maybe, for a second, other than burning themselves alive at this point. And so the truth is that we need America's help and the people around the help to sign on this petition and pressure the UN to stand by and live up to its higher morals.
Right. Thank you so much for adding that. And Jack, as a SFT member, what do you think the situation looks like? And then what are the efforts being taken from your Students of Free Tibet organization?
Yeah, I think I agree definitely that the situation in Tibet is really bad right now, but I think that there is hope now, especially with this Flame of Truth, to see a change in policy or a shift forward in policy. I don't think that there needs to be anything necessarily unique about the Flame of Truth, because I think that the Free Tibet movement is on the right side of history. I think that the human rights abuses in general won't be able to maintain themselves. It's not a sustainable policy for China to take to keep attempting to oppress Tibet. And I think that Tibet will continue to become harder and harder to hold through the continuation of events like the Flame of Truth rallies around the world. And I think the fact that this Flame of Truth rally is so global in scope and is taking place not only in the UN Plaza in San Francisco, but in front of UN offices and in front of Chinese consulates around the world is really just an example of how much harder and harder of a time China is having in holding on to Tibet. And I think it's an example of how well Tibetans are being heard. And I think that said, so I think we're on the right side of history. I think that there doesn't need to be anything different or new that is happening in the movement, but I think there are still new things. And I think that the symbolism and the scope of the Flame of Truth rally are something that is really new to some extent, in that there's the symbol of this flame that's a symbol of the self-immolations, and that it's global in scope. And I think that Students for a Free Tibet is working to go out and support those images to help raise awareness and help keep Tibet in the public eye.
Right. So, and then I also want to relay this message to the viewers there, that this torch is coming in San Francisco on November 10, 2012. And I'll have Kunchula to just tell us how it's going to be, when and where it's going to start, and then tell us brief about the routing of the Flame of Truth.
Basically, the San Francisco leg of the torch is being kind of jointly organized by 5 different organizations. We are collectively known as San Francisco Team Tibet, comprising of Tibetan Association of Northern California, then the Bay Area Friends of Tibet, this San Francisco Regional Youth Congress, and the SFT Bay Area, and the Committee of 100. And then we are planning to, it's been organized at the UN Plaza, and the program is starting at 10 o'clock, sorry, I apologize, 10 o'clock at the UN Plaza in San Francisco. where we plan to have guest of speakers, a whole bunch of speakers, and then an interfaith program. And thereafter, we would be marching past the City Hall to the Chinese Consulate. And at the Chinese Consulate, we plan to have for about an hour of demonstration there. And then we're going to be also having a bike rally to go to the Golden Gate. And the rest of the crowd would be marching towards a Bargatoro near the Mahatma Gandhi statue. That's where we are culminating. So on behalf of the SF Team Tibet, I appeal to all the viewers and also your friends to please join us on this rally on November the 10th, which is a Saturday at the UN Plaza in San Francisco.
Thank you so much for the
Thank you.
information. That's really important that every participation it's key that you are here and you are there for the support of Tibet. So Giovanni, can you tell us about the Bay Area Friends of Tibet? What is their reaction, the members, and how excited they are about this torch relay?
Well, I think they're excited to do whatever we can to provide like the hope that Jake was talking about and show the solidarity with the Tibetan people. We want to join that effort, and our job as supporters is to amplify the voices of Tibetans inside of Tibet and local Tibetans to make people more aware. So we're definitely excited to be part of this, and from the very beginning, when at the United Nations Plaza, when we start at 10 a.m. on November 10th, I think it's in some ways it is fitting that it is on the weekend that is a Veterans Day weekend, because by the way, it's used to be known as Armistice Day, which is like the end of hostilities, the end, the coming of peace. And so this is what part of what actually the Flame of Truth really is about, is bringing a real peace to the people of Tibet, and by extension to Asia as well, and the world, because no one's human rights is safe unless we're all safe. So Bay Area Friends of Tibet's members we're just really excited and honored to be here with our Tibetan friends and be able to do whatever we can to amplify their voice.
Thank you so much. And Tenzin, since you are the youth leader, so I want to hear the youth's aspiration and hopes the torch coming to the Bay Area. What are you?
Yeah, in terms of our the group, San Francisco Regional Tibetan Youth Congress, our board members and the members of our group is very excited in a sense, like our board comprises of all the young generation of Tibet, and then they're very committed and determined to serve for their own country and for the struggle, and then every initiative, as I said before, that is aimed to help this freedom struggle and raise the awareness in the international arena. Tibetans, our groups are as excited as other Tibetans, especially when we think of the struggle in exile since 1959. In these days, young generations are taking a lead in leading the struggle, and in a non-violent way, under the guidance of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, who is our supreme leader of Tibet. So, as a Tibetan, I feel it's my moral responsibility to be part of this event, and I'm hoping and I believe that a lot of the youngsters in Tibetan youngsters in San Francisco Bay Area would be interested and join to amplify the voices of Tibetans inside Tibet who are desperately, kind of like in a very dire situation, where, as I said, as young as 17 years old are taking their life for the cause of freedom in Tibet. So I'm sure like a lot of youngsters would join to be part of this event. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So Kunjula, this Flame of Truth, the torch relay started in July 6, 2000 this year. So can you tell us like how many countries that so far has been covered, and how many more countries or cities that
Well, you know, like it's covered almost the whole